go. Slowly, all in direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's Fresh Creek? I find it.
Oh, we've got one Look, I hear our background noise coming through, Sherry.
Yeah.
Where's Fresh Creek?
Oh, we've got one. We good now? Should be. Okay, that's better. And it looks like Emily is in the waiting room. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Just really quick, want to make a note that the February meeting date changed, so that one's gonna be the first Monday of February instead of the 14th because of Valentine's Day. And then just the other thing I want to note tonight, we need to end our meeting by 5:45 because there's another meeting happening in here after us. So, well, sometimes our meetings go long, so I'm just putting it out there now. I think we'll be fine. We don't have a packed agenda. So, so first up, we have approval of minutes for the minutes dated October 11th, 2021. If anyone wants to make a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Great. And we need to make sure that we speak up too with the masks so that the recording catches it and the people who are online catch it. If you want to, Sherry said you can take your mask down to speak if you'd like. So Howard, you made the motion. Alan seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. So next up we have topics from the floor. Anyone who is not on the agenda? I know we have Scott here and we have Dana online who are being interviewed for vacant positions, but we also have Emily on the Zoom call. Emily, did you have anything for topics from the floor, or are you just attending?
I'm attending, but I'm also very happy to talk about a couple of.
What's going?
Hello. So
we
we're
can't
having
hear
a-
you, Emily.
Oh dear. Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Oh, darn it. Technical difficulties.
Oh, is the TV volume down in here? Lynn, can we hear you?
Yes.
Yeah, Dana can hear her.
Can you hear me?
It must be us.
Can you hear me now?
We can't hear Lynn either.
I can hear you, Lynn.
Okay.
Good. I can hear you too.
Hold that thought.
We could have a secret conversation.
Oh, isn't that supposed to be easier? It's just one. Thank God for technology.
Oh
We're
man,
just figuring out technical in here, so
no worries.
hold tight, guys.
Anybody know sign language?
Sherry. The right video selected.
Read my lips.
From up there, the computer next to your view.
Certainly.
Where's your phone sound?
Lynn or Emily, can you try speaking?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can everyone hear me?
We hear you now.
Hey, that's fantastic. All right, I can.
So.
And Emily, did you have something to address?
Oh,
Yes,
We've got feedback though, just a second.
It's delayed too.
We're hearing our own feedback.
We're good now.
Are we good? Okay, we're set. Yay. All right, really this time, Emily. Go ahead.
Right. I just wanted to talk about some projects that are going to be coming up. We are doing a big planting project with the city of Scappoose. We're going to be replanting some of our South Scappoose Creek restoration project at Veterans Park, and we'll also be holding a workshop for any interested landowners to learn about how to do restoration, such as planting stakes and cuttings on their projects. So if you know you're going to have some free time on February 26th, please mark your calendars. We'd love to have you get wet and dirty and have fun.
Awesome. What time is that at?
So that's going to be, I have not confirmed the time, but we're going to be looking at holding around 9 o'clock to about 3 in the afternoon, give or take. We might have some school kids coming, so we're going to be kind and give them a chance to watch cartoons.
That's very nice of you. Thank you. Will there be an official announcement? Like, can you communicate with us more details as you get them, and we'll make sure to bring it up in future meetings?
Absolutely. I will be communicating more details, and we're also going to be having a couple of other projects, fingers crossed, coming up. So you'll be hearing a lot more about those events as I confirm more information.
Okay, sounds
What-
great.
What date was that again?
February the 26th.
We can talk about it at our next meeting.
Our next 2 meetings.
So remind us in February again.
Sorry, what was that?
Remind us in February again.
Of course. Oh, absolutely.
Great. Is there anything else, Emily?
Not too much at the moment. I finished the management plans for the city of St. Helens, McCormick Park, and Godfrey Park. So now I'm just going to be wrapping things up as we head into the winter holidays. And yeah, you'll be hearing from me in January about the spring planting sale in April. A little early, but I want people to start making their spring plant lists ready to go and maybe see if they have some goodwill to volunteer for the plant sale. So you'll be hearing from me again.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that's all for topics from the floor. So next up, we have staff report.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a few things. I wanted to update you all on Campbell Park. So this week the surfacing should be installed over there as well as the tennis nets. So that's pretty exciting. So for those that don't know, there's a pretty expansive project going over at Campbell Park. There'll be 8 pickleball courts, 1 tennis court, a basketball court, and a futsal court. And if you're not familiar with futsal, it's kind of an indoor soccer, well, it'll be outdoors, but like a soccer type of court. So that's pretty exciting for our community to get. We will have the pickleball nets available for people to check out from the recreation center, since they are a little bit more easily moved. We're not going to leave them there on the site, just so we have a little bit more control over that. But there will be tennis set up always, 2 futsal nets, and then basketball hoops. So that should be completed by the end of this week. There'll still be some other things to do before we open it to the public, but I don't know if you guys have been by there. There's fencing up and it looks really, really cool. So we're excited for that area. McCormick Park, we've had a broken zip line for quite a while. Part of it was getting it from the manufacturer and just the delays that are happening there. The other part is they changed the design since they've put it up, because we were one of the, I think they've had 3 or 4 other Parks and Rec that have had the same issue. And so they redid the design of what the materials are. And so we got those in, and they should be out tomorrow to fix that. So hopefully if everything goes well, they'll be out tomorrow and the zip line will be back operating, and it will stay up longer than a month or 2 like we had it before.
Do they cover the cost for that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and that's why it's taken a while too. We didn't go and install it because it is under warranty.
Okay.
Still, we could have tried to make it work, but we wanted to make sure that it was still under the warranty. I talked to you all a few times about the new programs that we have for the recreation, for Parks and Recreation. We have a new software system that we launched in July. The last 60 days, we've had 488 people sign up for programming, and over $25,000 worth of revenue. And so that's pretty substantial for our little Parks and Recreation department. All of that goes back to programming and paying staff. So we're not a for-profit business. We're definitely putting it back into the community. Exciting things that you'll hear more about is we have some leagues that are getting ready to have Parks and Rec take over, some adult leagues in particular, and I'll explain that more at the next meeting as we have more stuff go with that. But they're seeing the success that the recreation's having with communicating and also the organization part of it, and so they're excited to join forces with us. I'm looking at some grant opportunities for 2022, and if you guys ever see any that you think would be something that would be applicable, or even if you're not sure, send them over to me and I'll research them to see if that's something we can do. This is both in programming and in parks. We have our new building over on Gable Road that we are calling the community center. We still have our other building that we're calling the recreation center. Both of those are getting utilized quite a bit. We're getting ready to open up rental opportunities, and as we do that, we're looking also at the park rental opportunities, and if we're fair with our pricing, if we need to increase it a little bit, what the rentals include, and hopefully before spring of 2022, we'll have that all ready to launch for a busy park season. We had a lot of folks using it last season, and I think just with the new playground and the new facilities at Campbell Park, we're going to see that increase. Let's see, what else was there? The RFP, we did get 2 applicants that applied. We did have a committee that we had chose Carmen at the last Parks and Recreation Commission meeting to be the representative from this commission. And then we had Jenny, Matt, and myself. And there was a winner in that, but we also recognized that maybe some of the things that we had thought we needed weren't quite on target with what we needed right now. And so I had Matt come just to tell you really quick the update on the Parks and Recreation RFP, because that will be on the agenda item on Wednesday for the council meeting. So Matt, if you can just update where we are with that.
Yeah, so John here will have a discussion with the city council at Wednesday's meeting regarding the Parks and Rec master plan. Like Sean had mentioned, we heard some of the things from the committee of what we liked, what we didn't like. We also gave the 2 people who submitted bids to the council to review. We also heard some comments from the council about wanting to be a little bit more involved in the process, and that's kind of seen. It's Parks and Master Plan is a very public and community engagement process, so we want to make sure and involve as many people as we can. As much as getting 2 is great, it's better than getting 1 or 0. But we would like to see more participation from other companies. So we're going to go back and, assuming that the council is okay with this, go back into the bid process, revise the bid a little bit to be a little bit more specific about what we saw, what we didn't see, and what our hopes and goals for the process is going to be. And John will talk about that pending council approval. We will go up re-bid for the RFP process. That will hopefully be in the January meeting, and then we will start the process of bidding in February 6th, I think it is, I have on my date. So it'll be just a little bit more pushed out, but obviously it's important to do it right and get things the way we want. So happy to answer any questions if you guys have.
Yeah, you know, before you go, I don't know if this is the right time to do it, but Beth and John are here. I don't know if they're gonna stick around the whole time. But you know, one of my main concerns, you know, is the urban trail. Has that been addressed in the?
It will be included in the new Parks and Rec RFP.
It will be
in the master plan process.
In the master plans.
It will be included in there.
This is just picking the company to.
Right, I understand, but John and Matt are here and
Yeah,
sometimes
one
they.
of the benefits, you know, we put it out there, we got 2 responses back, that's great, would have had a little bit disappointing, would have liked to have a few more to select from, but their approaches, there's things that we looked at once we reviewed them that said, well, wait a minute, you know, we have this SDC calculation, we already have a consultant that's really super tuned into our SDCs, maybe we take that out and we put that as a fixed kind of thing into this agreement where they're not having to provide that service, so it's more of the financial piece of it than there's the Trails Master Plan or all the other pieces that go into putting one of these updates together. And it just seemed like there's a lot of value in going back out. It's just something done right, not done quick.
Shauna, you said there's a new rec building.
Yeah, so we.
Where's it located?
It's located at 2625 Gable Road, so it's past the high school on the left-hand side. There's a clothing donation in the parking lot, which a lot of people are familiar with, which actually with that clothing donation, the rec, Parks and Rec gets money from that. So if you have any used clothes, you can put it in there. We get like 5 cents a pound or something, but we get about $60 to $100 a month, so.
So what's in the two well, I know what's in the one building, but
Yeah, so.
what do you do in each? So what do you do in each of the two buildings? What's the function of each of the two buildings?
So the one on Old Portland Road, which was our previous building, and it still is one of our buildings, is more for like dance classes, sports activities, because there is a gym in there. And we have like paint nights and rentals and stuff. So still a lot of recreation programming. The other one serves as office space as well. So I have an office over there, so does Erin. And so that's really nice because we didn't have offices before. And also there's a stage over there, so we can do some theater, some art stuff, camps, rentals. Yeah, so they both have different purposes, but also both are very deeply involved in recreation programming.
So how do you man the two if there's just Erin and you?
So that's a great question, Jerry. We're running around like crazy people, but we also have a system that we're doing where as people reserve it and stuff, the one at Old Portland Road doesn't have any confidential information. Well, we don't have a lot of but anyways, our computers aren't over there anymore. So we're hoping to do like a key checkout process like they do at Columbia City Hall for rentals. And then the other one, we just staff it. So when we have events, we make sure we have staff there. And I'd love to show any of you guys the two facilities. So anytime you want to come take a look at it, just send me an email and I'll let you know what my calendar looks like. And you guys
So
Yeah, it looks
where
lovely
are
places.
you most of the time?
Most of the time I'm at the community center, the 2625 Gable Road.
Okay, and so if someone wants to use the one on Old Portland Road, then they reserve it?
Yes. Yep, so
You
it,
you just can't drop in there.
no, I mean, unless we're having open gym time or something, but yeah, you would need to reserve it so we know who's coming in and out, so we're not having any issues that way. Yeah, so just shoot me an email or come on by and we can talk about what that looks like.
No, I just wanted to clarify it.
Reservation. And then the last thing I wanted to say is we have 2 park staff right now, which is probably the least amount of park staff we've had in a long time. We are hiring for a 3rd person at Parks Utility 1. So if you know anybody who may be interested, please send them our way. And I think that's all for me, unless you have any questions for me. Yeah,
Did you ever figure out where all the vests went?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, having 2 facilities and moving stuff around, we
Okay.
located them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next up is counselor's report.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I asked Shauna to be here to give this report, she'll be here from now on, a staff person, to tell you exactly what's going on in the parks in terms of operations. It's my role to have a bit of oversight of our vision and some political decisions that we have to make on the council, those kinds of things. So it's kind of there for a bit of an overview. I would like to encourage you all to really, this is the time before you pick someone to revise the master plan, to make certain that you have, if you have any ideas of what you want to see in any park, make certain that you jot them down, and now's the time. I'm saying this, seems like you've done master plans or whatever, but prior to the budget meetings, I always try to say something about if there's something that the parks needs, okay, we need to make certain you get it to the staff or myself to get to the staff, or or anyone on the budget committee to work with. We have a good park submission of what we need. I think that's extremely important for the master plan. I would really, really like to challenge all of you and do something with Pride Park and do something with Godfrey Park. Now, we tried it in Godfrey Park and it was amongst our staff to do that, and look where it went. Because it gets swept to the bottom of the pile of things to do, and the staff is overworked the way it is. So I would suggest any kinds of things that we want to do, any kinds of improvements, that we get a consultant, we get an outside source, get the job done. Just like what's been happening at McCormick Park and what's happening at Campbell Park. It doesn't tax our staff with their workload. I think that's real important for you to hear and for you to know as well. Yeah, John.
Just quick, what's gonna be the status of the non-parks, the parks that we've been talking about for some time, but haven't actually been declared parks yet, like the property on Ross Road, the property on Lard Road. Is that gonna be in the master plan, or how do we make sure?
Wow. I'll have to let John address that a bit more, because he knows exactly with the scenario and the stepping stones which we're at on that. As you know, that the city appropriated some property that could link into Ross Road off of Childs Road. And so that's going to open that up. And so where that's at, I'm not certain. I think you know that. I think that's.
I just want to be sure it says,
Yeah,
we're talking about it anyway.
exactly. Okay, so John, I could allude to John to answer that question if he feels like this is the appropriate time to do that.
Yeah, I would just say that's the perfect place you want to see those types of long-term projects is in master plans, and whether they're required or not. We've been taking incremental steps to, make that happen as far as that access on Maple Road, that 3 acres that continues Maple would offer an opportunity to go straight up into the.
Oh, okay, right across the creek.
I'll back up and I'll say the reason Shauna is here, one of the reasons that I had an urgency to get Shauna here to you is so that there won't be a breakdown between the staff and the council. So we triangulate with you in that sense. So nobody, in some senses, between both of us, the communication should get action. And it doesn't sit on with me, or doesn't sit with her. It's both of us are here to give communication as thoroughly and as we possibly can. And that's why I asked Shauna to be here and to give her report. You'll learn a lot from the staff report that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Shauna's been at our meetings pretty regularly since
Yes.
she took on the helm giving updates. So we definitely appreciate that, and it definitely helps keep us.
Yeah, the report in writing is really, I think, is essential, and especially for the council to I'm giving something to the council to back up on minutes. Do that. And then I just want to say a word about Shauna is that she came on and talked about flexibility and looking at what Campbell Park is, and somehow taking 4 tennis courts and making 7 pickleball courts. She's in touch with the heartbeat of the nation, because if anyone leaves this state and goes to anywhere where it's sunshiny, that's all you'll see is pickleball courts everywhere. And so I have to applaud Shauna for that, and being flexible, seeing you, and listening. I think that's a real strong suit that Shauna has. That's it for me. This is going to be a long meeting, so my.
I have a question for Shauna.
Oh, Annie.
So originally you were doing parks and recreation, and then I thought that you'd gone back to just recreation. Are you now in charge of both, or is Mohammed in charge of parks? What's the situation there?
So yeah, there was some shifting of the deck chairs there, and Shauna is in charge of both Parks and Recreation, and I'm her supervisor.
And you're what, John?
I'm her, Shauna's direct supervisor.
So we're part of community development now, yeah, under the admin
She
section.
has three people.
There's a lot of
She
Parks
has
and
3 people
Recreation.
working for her.
What was that?
And you have 3 people working for you, Aaron?
I have Aaron and, yep, 2 park staff, and then I have some super part-time that run our after-school program. And I just have a few go-backs real quick. So thank you, Doug, for that compliment. I also want to say that Jenny Denshow and Sue Nelson and Matt Brown and the park staff also were really involved in the Campbell Park stuff. And it was really nice to have the park staff involved because they're the ones who are actually at the parks all the time. So when they said, hey, you know, this would be a better fit, it was really nice that we were able to have that open conversation. And like Doug said, pickleball is crazy popular, and we're gonna have 8 courts, 1 tennis court, a futsal court, and then a basketball. So there'll be lots of different opportunities for folks to use it. And my other go back that I wanted to say really quick is, and sorry, Aaron, to do this too, but we have been having some vandalism issues in the park's bathrooms. And you might have heard that Scappoose has also had those same challenges. We're doing some things internally to see if we can help with that, but we would just like to say that if you see something, report it. Campbell Park seems to be the one that's been hit the heaviest right now, and we're looking at some options maybe in the future of bringing the playground equipment up more to the front of the park or things like that, because it seems like after dark some not so good things are happening there. So definitely if you see something, report it, and you know, we'll come back with updates if we decide to do anything. Our bathrooms are on winter hours, so they do automatically lock about, I think it's 4 or 5 p.m. depending on when it gets dark outside. So we already have those measures in place, but there's a TikTok challenge going around that's showing how to destroy things. And then there's also some other issues with flushing like mud and stuff down the toilet. So yeah, so it's been quite the interesting.
Put rocks down it.
Yeah, so that's another issue. So please, if you see something, definitely call it into non-emergency. The police are well aware and they try to frequent as much as they can around there, but it's helpful to have community also. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Shauna. Does anyone have questions for Shauna or Doug before we move on?
I gotta go back to, and I just want to say that Halloween Town was like so unbelievably successful in terms of monetary gains. I can't tell you how much they made at this time, because I don't know if that's accurate or not. But I looked at as profits as near $250,000 profits.
So Doug,
That's just what I saw without really getting into those things. And so that's how profitable Halloween Town is, and that money stays into tourism, and hopefully they'll keep going and doing great things that way.
Will any of that money get invested into parks? Is there potential for that, or does it just stay in the tourism bucket? Just
Well,
curious, because we had.
That's up
events
to
that
discussion, right? So I think that if it gets into parks, that there are state regulations that tourism stays with tourism. And I'm not certain, I wish Matt was here to explain that a little more effectively. So it stays in tourism, and that's what I understand thus far.
Okay.
We'll see where all that goes. Good question.
Yeah, I guess my curiosity goes to that there was a event held at Nob Hill Park, so
Yeah.
wondering if any of that money can go back into that park since there were events held there.
That park had to be one of the most successful out of fundraising as well.
And that's why for the third time, I have always asked, what was in it for Nob Hill? A lot of our trails, 2 or 3 spots, the limited gravel that we had on the trails is gone, and now we've got water running down the trails. And I was really hoping that we'd get some type of response, since we had some parts of the trail where they had to go both directions. You're looking at something between 4,000 and 1,000 trips on sections of the trail. Gravel's gone, we got mud in there now. You know, it looks like there's rock, but when it rains. So I was always curious about, you know, as I've said is what was in it for Nob Hill, and I've never gotten an answer.
From what I heard in brainstorming, you were going to be pleasantly surprised.
And what's in it for Nob Hill?
Yes, a lot.
You know,
I think you will be pleasantly surprised. I don't know for sure, Howard. That's just what I heard the talk, okay?
Okay.
Pleasantly
Nature park.
surprised, not
That's what we're
surprised
having.
like, oh my heavens, what happened to our park? Pleasantly surprised.
Well, that's why I don't want surprises again. We had the thing with the friends groups, and ideas and stuff are supposed to be run by friends groups a little bit before we suddenly get blindsided by things.
That's
So,
why the two of us are here.
you know, so I'm really hoping that there's better communication on what would go on in the park for things like that, you know, I mean, I'm gonna have to look for gravel and start trying to put the gravel out myself, I guess, since we're not getting any answers.
I thought that you and I had talked about getting gravel there, and just right now is not the optimate time to do that.
Oh, well, if it's raining out, you know, because a lot of the trails just have a thin coat of gravel, like 1 to 2 inches, and that kept the water under the gravel. And now, since all the gravel's gotten kicked off, since they weren't designed for that type of usage, you got water that's actually running down the trails in some spots. And so that's one of the things I have to talk is trying to.
Yeah, well, let's talk and see when we can get some gravel there and then we'll figure out where that funding comes from and stuff.
Yes, that was gonna be my question, was, you know, how much damage or what was the results of, you know, using Hill Park? Was there a lot, or was it just cosmetic and pretty minor, or was it major?
Most of what I saw was just a lot of wear and tear on the trail system that you know, when you really look close at the trails, if you were intimate with them, I mean, they look great because they were worn so wide and everything is so clean on the sides because so many people walk through there. But there's places where any trail, almost all the trail where they walked, they were all increased in width by 2 to 4 feet in width. And some of the areas, there still isn't ground cover that's growing back over where people walked, you know.
It's a poison ivy.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just, you have to really walk in there and see where it is, you know, on different spots. You know, people went straight where the trails used to take a little jog, you know, and all types of just little things like that. But if you're really into the trails, you notice it. If you just walk in there, you don't really see that there's a difference, you know.
I would imagine that from my point of view, there is 2 people in here, Shauna and myself. I report to the council and she deals with the staff. And there's a third part, and that would be you, who could come to any of the council meetings to figure out what's going on in Halloween Town, or talk to Tina, who, if she is doing this again, about what's happening. And she's very accessible. So that's part of my message, but I'm not scapegoating from that. My responsibility and staff's responsibility, as much as anything else, and communication fell through the cracks. And I apologize for that, for my part in that. And you know, what else can we do except learn from it?
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We're gonna keep moving on to new business. And first up, we have interviews for our vacant positions. And we have Scott here and we have Dana online. It doesn't look like Shannon is here. We did interview her in the past when we had a vacancy. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have Scott come up first. And Scott, if you don't mind coming up, introducing yourself and just giving us some background as to why you're interested in the Parks and Trails Commission, and then we'll have an opportunity for folks to ask questions. And we will do a vote at the end of the meeting and make a recommendation to City Council once we finish interviews.
My name is Scott Jacobson.
And you can take your mask off if you'd like. You don't have to, up to you.
I'm new to the city, moved here on August 2nd. Just want to get involved, and I thought this might be one of the ways. I'm always interested in utilizing parks. Before I moved here, we traveled around the states for over a year, pretty much utilizing all the national parks that we could and public lands. We have been doing that. My background, I've done, I'm a contract archaeologist. And I've liaised with the councils with, whatever issues they have with parcels of land that are being developed. And so I have some experience working with government entities. Like I said, liaise with them. Sometimes I'd be actually hired by other entities in the government to do the work and liaise with the entity that is overseeing the work. So that should be it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Does anyone want to ask a question first? Or do you guys want me to go first?
Well, I'll just say, Scott, when we had the cleanup at the park, Scott, was there working on the park. Are you planning on being in the community for a period of time or?
Oh, we pretty much moved here for the duration. Whatever that'll be. I mean,
Right.
we're not looking to go anywhere else. So I'm here, I'm retired and I'm flexible, so looking to be utilized.
I'll ask my question, which is, and I always ask this one, what is your favorite park in St. Helens and why?
Well, I guess if you call it a park, I mean, the Riverfront Park, where the bandstand is, that's my introduction to St. Helens was through the 13 nights. Plus, my wife and I walk around quite a bit. I do like the Great Cliffs Park and the little area that's down by the water there. We have some good ideas for that, I think. Yeah, those would be the main two right now. But like I said, I've just moved here, and so I don't know all the parks.
Yeah, that's fair. Thank you. Does anyone else have questions?
Are you always available for 4 o'clock meetings? Since you're retired, it sounds like you are.
I'll hit my sweet spot.
So the question I always ask, so you say you want to get involved and everything, but why did you pick the Parks Commission? Why parks?
Well, I mean, I was just looking to get involved in any way, and so I did the application and I ticked the box just to see what was available and where I could fit in. I do utilize parks quite extensively. And I mean, my interest in parks when I was younger till now has grown exponentially. Just gotten quite interested in it.
We have a ton of parks in this town. So I would suggest just taking time to find them all and check them all out. They're really.
I tried to get to Dalton Park, and my map and showed a access place down where we're working, and couldn't find it. But I talked to Jonathan. He said you couldn't get it access right there. I've been wanting to get up there.
I'm sure there's a lot of people here that would help you get there, and especially Lynn.
We move it around, that's why it's hard to find.
And speaking of Lynn, did you have any questions?
No.
You're on mute.
No, they were already asked.
Okay, perfect.
And one
All
more.
right, Jerry.
Scott, as you're training as an archaeologist, do you think that will benefit or help in the Parks Commission?
Well, not liaising with the councils I have experience at that. I don't know how often the issue would come up with in the parks. I recall seeing something about some points being found in Nob Hill. Was that correct?
So what?
Projectile points. Arrowheads is what I think.
I haven't heard.
I thought I read it in the paper or something to that extent.
Huh.
I wouldn't anticipate any impacts on, any archaeology with what we have here right now.
But your total experience, do you think that would help in, working with people, working with organizations?
Yes, I mean, with doing archaeology, I would actually ask some of the people who was the Glasgow Archaeological Society. Business is based in Scotland. And there's a society that was interested, and I would bring out members of them and teach them, the techniques, field techniques and that type of stuff.
Have questions for yourself? Thank you for taking the time to stop by today. And like I mentioned, we will take a vote at the end of our meeting and make a recommendation for city council. So you should hear soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Dana, hello, you can go ahead and come off of mute. And if you want to give an introduction of yourself and why you're interested in the Parks and Trails Commission.
You've heard before.
Hi. Yeah, I've met quite a few of you before through different activities. I'm Dana Lathrop. I own Realizing Art, which is the tattoo and art studio there in downtown St. Helens. I'm an active board member of the Chamber of Commerce, and I was the previous chair of the Main Street program until they brought on their new board. I am currently looking to find a new project to volunteer with. And the Parks and Recs, or not the Parks and Rec, but well, that as well, but the Parks and Trails was initially on my radar before I did any volunteering here in the local community due to my interest in the Columbia Botanical Gardens and Dalton Lake. I walk the Dalton Lake Trail quite frequently, multiple times a week. And I have a lot of interest in the beautification of the parks in the area. I have 3 children, so we do utilize the playgrounds at several of the parks, including downtown. We're down there all the time. I have longevity in the community with family roots that go back generations, and I do plan on staying in the community for quite a long time. I hope my business stays successful enough that I can remain downtown for a long time, and I'm very excited on all of the projects going on and the expansion of the park district down there at the waterfront. And I've been active and attentive to the changes over the last couple of years there. And just hoping to put my energy somewhere that's beautiful and fun for a while, since the economic groups have been a little heavy.
That's fair. So I will start with my question. Again, what is your favorite park and why? I know you mentioned a couple already, but.
Yeah, so my favorite park is Mccormick Park. I played there a lot when I was a kid. I mean, I threw rocks at boys in the stream, 11 years old. And I love taking my kids down. The new playground is gorgeous, and we've utilized it a few times. I'm also very interested in disc golf and would like to see more activity on our amazing disc golf course down there in McCormick Park.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else have questions for Dana?
Once again, are you available for our meetings at 4 o'clock?
I am. I'm closed on Mondays down there at the studio, and so I am available every Monday. That's standard in my schedule. And due to the fact that I do create my own schedule, if I have enough notice, I can be relatively flexible for additional projects as needed.
I remember for her last time she was.
Really? I feel like that was before my time. No, I just don't remember. Does anyone else have questions for Dana? Lynn?
Yeah, so Dana, what activities are you looking forward to doing while you're on the Parks and Trails Commission?
Oh, I'm very much excited on projects that include beautification in the parks that are already existing, and combining maybe a little bit of my artistic interests and things like updating and maintaining trash receptacles and whatnot. I'm not sure how nitty gritty you guys get involved in that kind of stuff, but being part of the planning and support and daily attentiveness of the parks. Again, I walk Dalton Lake all the time. I live close by, and I walk the botanical gardens periodically, and I'm really hoping to maybe put some more fire there as well. I know a group had started a couple years ago with interest in that park, and then it kind of fizzled, and I'd like to see that come back to the forefront as time, energy, and money allows.
Okay. Are you now a CASA?
I am not a CASA. No, and part of the reason I didn't do the CASA is I think my husband and I are really interested in doing some fostering here soon, and CASA is just not in alignment with that for me. And so for now, while I still have the energy to put, fostering is a different kind of energy, and so while I still have that, I think I want to put it there, and then I can go to the CASA after I'm satisfied there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions for Dana? No? Thank you for taking the time to join today, Dana. Just like I mentioned earlier, we'll do a vote at the end of the meeting, and then we will get back to you and let you know.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Bye.
All righty, next up, and I figure we'll vote during the discussion items, if that's okay with everybody. Next up, we have McCormick Park report.
So I've been going down to Mccormick Park probably about 3 times a week now. Park is a big hit. There's kids there every day. It's packed. And I love it. I love seeing the kids there and stuff. I kind of feel weird because I don't have no kids there playing, but I'm sitting there kind of like, oh, can I talk to you for a minute? And I've been talking to the parents. The biggest feedback I've got is everything's been positive except for one thing. There's a little blue megaphone thing that a lot of the moms are saying is kids, as soon as they get there, they run over and put their mouth on it. Oh. So they were wondering if there was any way we could remove that. I told them I don't know. I would bring it up at the Parks Commission meeting to find out. But I'm just like, yeah, you probably don't want kids putting their mouth on it, but you know what? It also makes them tougher. They get those germs that they're supposed to be getting. But no, that was everything. Like I said, everything else has been great there. The disc golf course, since it's been raining, the trails are kind of like little puddles. You got more water hazards. So, but no, everything's been a big hit there. That's all I have on the cover. But not right now.
And then for park report for next month, Lynn, are you still okay with doing Dalton Lake
Yes.
report? Okay. Awesome. And then next up, we have Parks pamphlet and website updates. Lynn and I talked a little bit, I think last week or the week before, about the pamphlet that's posted on the site right now and some website updates. She was asking about getting some updates made to Dalton Lake in the pamphlet. Right now, I know Matt's mentioned in the past, we don't have, like, PSU is the one who updated that brochure, that pamphlet in the past, and we don't have that file. And so I reached out to him again to see if he had heard anything or gotten that file that we could edit. And he reached out to the folks at PSU again and included Shauna and I on that email. We haven't heard back from them yet, so maybe we'll follow up next week again and see if they have any updates. But that's the status of that. That's the PDF that's attached, Lynn.
Yes.
So that has, I guess, maybe some out-of-date information on some of the parks, and then also information on there is out of date. It's all of the old contact information. So ideally, we'll be able to get access to that file to be able to update it in the future. But I think there was another piece of the website, Lynn, because you had mentioned the naming of Dalton Lake. And I think there's a page on the website that has the map, and then it has the list of all of the parks with the amenities. And I think potentially you were looking to want updates to that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, do you want to expand on that?
Yes, what they have is a map that was made by planning department for actually the proposal for Dalton Lake. And it shows all the trails that are actually on private property that we don't want people to use. Now, so we'd like to get a new map for that on the Parks and Recreation and the St. Helens Parks website. And also on there that needs to be updated is it says Dalton Lake in parentheses ODOT property. And I don't think that's really appropriate for the St. Helens Parks page because St. Helens maintains in a cooperative management agreement and manages that property. And it became a preserve 2 years ago. So it's a Dalton Lake Nature Preserve. And also on things that you do, the amenities on the map, it has an icon for fishing, which there's no fishing in Dalton Lake. There's no fish there in Dalton Lake, according to the latest research. And they could, fish at Columbia River, of course. But we should have the birding icon. That is the binoculars. And as well as the benches and the trails. That's it.
For the actual website part, Shauna, would we coordinate with you on if we want to see updates made to
Yeah,
our
if you
list in the
can send
name?
me that list of things that you just mentioned, Lynn, I can look at how we fix them on the website. As far as the maps go, that will be a little bit more.
Yeah, I plan on going to planning and getting a new map developed for our kiosks that would show the actual trails as well as the mileage between each one of them.
Okay, yeah, if you want to send me that information, and I'll also check with Jenny and Jacob in planning too to see what we need to do to get an updated map. But with all the little icons and stuff, if you'll send me exactly what you just said, that would be great in an email. That way I have it in writing and I can go
That's
through
great.
Crystal and do those updates.
And then we may also, I was thinking we may also get updated maps as part of the master plan project. Potentially, like in looking at the proposals that we received, they showed pictures of like maps that they've created. So there's, I would think, potential for that to help with nice looking maps in the future. Yeah. Anything else to add, or does anyone else have anything to chime in about pamphlet or website updates? All right. The next thing on the list was the RFP Parks and Master Plan update. I was just going to give an update on what Matt and Shauna already updated on. So I think we can cross that off. That's already been covered, unless anyone has follow-up questions about that. Awesome. Next on the agenda is old business. Does anyone have anything to bring up? Quiet group. All right. So on to discussion items. So I figured now would be a good time that we can discuss the two applicants, Scott and Dana. And maybe we take a vote to see who wants to vote for who for the open position, and someone can make a motion.
I think last time, didn't we like write it down and hand it
We
in?
did, yeah. Do you guys want to, would you
again.
rather do that? I'm good with whatever you guys want to do. I'm gonna write the names. And just put a mark next to who you vote for. I'm gonna put my mark.
So if we do that, it's gonna be.
No.
Send it out.
Let's tear up some.
Well, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I want it to be a confidential
I don't-
vote,
Okay,
and I would
do
prefer
it
that,
however you want.
I prefer that, we had, Carmen can tear up
Piece of paper.
7 pieces of paper and pass them out to us.
I think.
Okay.
we should-
I will do that.
Carmen, could I
don't know if we
send?
can or not.
I'm not sure we can do
Why
secret.
don't
Yeah,
you
'cause Lynn-
carry a private message
but-
chat or text me?
I don't know.
I'll be right back. I'll cut these up.
What?
Can you do private votes?
We usually have in the past, we've done
I don't
private
think I've ever
votes
been a
and
part
then
of a private
someone makes the
Every-
motion.
every
That's
time
what
we've
we've
done
done
it.
every
Yeah,
time.
private one every
City council can't do
You're
private.
just voting on who you want to pick, and then you have to vote on a formal recommendation.
And then we'll do a formal recommendation. So you don't have to, we could recommend, I mean, yeah. What do you guys wanna do?
Never done this.
This is what we've done in the past. We write down who we want. Thank you.
I think the two candidates right now.
You already
I
got it?
already tore it up. I already.
I think the two
Thank
candidates,
you though.
either one of the candidates. would fit well.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah,
both great.
15 pieces of paper that came back to her.
Don't vote twice.
Yeah, write down who you want, unless you want to say it out loud, which I can, I'll say mine outside.
I'll say mine out loud.
Okay, I'm gonna vote for Dave.
No,
I am too.
no, guys.
So am I.
I will not participate. I don't think that's a good idea.
You can
I will
have,
not participate if that's the way we do it. We've always done confidential votes.
Jerry, I've been on this park commission for a long time and I've never done one.
No, you verify them.
I need a pen.
You gotta verify the votes.
Okay, you
Do we
take the
trust
lead
you?
then.
I borrow that. data.
I have never done one of these.
This is the way we've done it every
I
time.
think you've
No,
only done it.
it was just, it's just like asking the person if they want to stay in the commission or not, you know?
Write mine.
Put it this way, city council can vote on nothing private.
Yeah.
But we can't.
Jerry, we have never done this.
I like to interject that you're on public television and what you say is public knowledge and it can hurt people and it can elevate some others or whatever. So I really like the secret ballot kind of thing. It just, and that has changed. That isn't something that's always been a public record.
Lynn, how do you
Yeah.
want to do your vote?
I had,
Okay, I got it. You write a piece of paper.
okay, Dana, I just,
Privately
Alright.
for, have somebody putting on it.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Carmen,
Yeah,
I just sent you a text message with
I
my
got
vote.
it. I wrote it on a piece of paper.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Out of the candidates,
Okay.
and then they decide who they want.
Dana?
I'm tallying.
Vote on it, by saying I
Dana.
recommend it. That's the way we're doing it.
You know,
Got one.
Yeah.
10 years ago, and we
Yeah.
do that. I never even thought about it. Sometimes here we've haven't had one candidate, so.
Dana. Dana. Dana.
Dana got the most votes. So if someone would like to make a motion,
I moved it.
great,
Everybody else got it.
great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. All right, we also need to make a recommendation again to have John, if you're still interested in being renewed
Mhm.
For this year. So if someone wants to make a motion.
Second.
I'll make the motion.
Motion,
You want me to
seconded.
leave the room?
Who was second first?
We need to do a
We're
secret
gonna vote
vote.
for this? then?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. All right. Anyone else have anything for discussion items today? Howard?
I'll make this quick. Mainly, I'm probably gonna do a little bit more blackberry cutting for Emily for the upcoming plantings along the Fifth Street right-of-way trail. I'd like to say that we never did have an opening, so I'm hoping that maybe this spring, when the wildflowers are in bloom and the plantings have been done along the Fifth Street right-of-way trail, that maybe we could have some type of an event for an opening of the Fifth Street right-of-way trail, because it opened up kind of when the COVID was hit, so there was never really an official opening for that Fifth Street right-of-way trail or the boardwalk. And so I was hoping that we could try to figure out some type of an event for that and to coordinate that into the wildflowers that are blooming in the park in April. So that's something for us to be thinking about. Just simple ribbon cutting and just, announcement about the trail, because some people still don't even know there's a trail in there. You
I like
know,
that idea. I think that would be neat. Be like a fun ribbon cutting and
yes.
coordinate it with like a walk through, like nature walk sort of a thing.
So we can talk more about that in January, so setting the seed is that the word. And then the other one that I've been doing for quite a while is saying that eventually we're gonna have to come up with some signage. We're starting to get a lot of people that are going out onto the one point that overlooks the sewage treatment plant. And we're starting to end up with a lot of, I'll say it's turning into a muddy trail. It's never been a trail, but people believe for some reason they want to walk out that way, but it's also a camas meadow. Because we're going to start I'm trying to figure out how to keep the camas there, because there's some invasive grasses that are coming into that area. And I'm going to start trying to cut those clumps and see if it makes them feel uncomfortable. But that's a sensitive area during certain times of the year. We had people going into the camas meadow last year, throwing out blankets and sitting down to talk on their cell phone with beautiful camas that's blooming, and they walk right in the middle and sit down in the middle of the fields. And once again, that's kind of what our park is for the camas and the wildflowers. And so we've got to figure out some good verbiage for signs of how you can say it politely that, this area really is sensitive, or restoration area or whatever. Because do we wait till an area is destroyed, then we really have to restore it? Or do we try to control it before it's destroyed? So that's.
We've talked about that before. We've talked about getting signs put out there that mentions the camas so that people know, this is why we don't want you to walk out there. So I guess maybe the next step is figuring out what we need to do to make that a reality. I don't know if we make a recommendation or if we need to discuss with Shauna to see if there's any money in the budget for creating signs or what the right next step is.
That's something we have to think of, so. I think that it's getting late.
Yeah, Emily wants to know if she can say something.
Yeah, did you want to, go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, thank you very much for reminding me about that, Howard. I forgot to mention in my introduction that we will be planting the 5th Street Extension Trail on January 7th. So we're going to get about 740 plants added to the section of the trail, and that will be the completion of the 5th Street Trail, except for the monitoring that has to happen afterwards. I do think, in speaking of the camas, I do think signs are definitely a good step forward. I have seen similar signs on parks like the Tualatin Soil and Water Conservation District project sites, and it's just very brief information about sensitive species and disturbance. So I would recommend reaching out to some of the other natural resource agencies and just seeing how much it costs to get their signs reproduced. And also, I personally don't think Nob Hill's the only park that's having problems with people going off trail. When I did some stream surveys at McCormick Park, I found a lot of areas that look like people have been cutting through the bush to try to get access to the creek. And while it's not, I can't say it's not destroying the creek. It's certainly not helping the native plants that are along the sides of the creek. So I think this is probably a problem that could be looked at for all of the parks, not just the Nob Hill Nature Park.
Thank you, Emily. Did you have more updates?
I'm done. Just a word that Carmen and Doug and I organized a cleanup of Botanical Gardens. We had about 20 people or so.
I think it was about 15, but
15 or so, and Howard brought his weed whacker and really helped. And so mainly we just did evasive. We tried to get blackberries and hollies out of there. We still have, not blackberries, ivy, blackberries, and holly were the three things we really kind of emphasized. And then Howard went around and I'd say cleaned up the trails.
And thanks to the Parks crew for picking up all of the holly that we left at the top of the trail. It was a lot.
And there's more holly.
Thank you.
Thanks to Carmen and Jerry for getting the pizza there.
Yeah. That was half an hour.
Yes. Yeah, thank you to all that helped with that. Lynn, did you have some updates?
None. None yet, and I'll give you most all of them in January.
Okay, sounds good. And then there is an updated list of our recommendations for the master plan that was attached to the packet this time. I have an updated version of that, so if anyone wants to see that before the next meeting, just let me know and I can email it to you.
Yes.
Okay, I'll email
Real
it out.
quick, one of the things we talked about was, having a kiosk at all the parks.
Yep, that's on the list.
That's on the list.
Yep. Yeah, it's on there. But I'll just email that out to you all this week, so you have the updated version, and then we'll keep adding to it.
I'd like to see also, park, do we have anything there about trying to locate some of our park boundaries, some of our
I think
areas?
that is on there, but I will just make a note of it to double check. Yeah, but if you have anything else before next meeting that you want me to add after you see the updated list, let me know and I'll add it on there, make sure it gets in.
We have a possible discrepancy on the street right away trail already.
Really?
Does anyone else have items for discussion before we adjourn?
Weird.
You won't be here, okay.
Taking us with?
You'd like to go.
Well, invited.
And just a reminder that our February meeting is first Monday of the month.
I leave for Montana Saturday.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you,
I'm going
everybody.
to the snow. I'm going to the
Island
snow.
by Emily. Thank you.
You realize that-
Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Next meeting next month.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I leave for Bozeman on Saturday and I come back on the 3rd.
Oh, sometimes